if you have the means to try and improve your community, I don't know why you wouldn't. So
now we're going to transition to the reason why people are listening to this episode.
Okay.
Where'd you get your $40 billion from?
Yeah. I've been working on those for a year with the architects. You know, it's 1.4 million square feet we're trying to redesign. Wow. So
this podcast was brought to you by Choose Topeka. If you're thinking about making a move, Choose Topeka can get you up to $15,000 to relocate.
Whether you're buying or renting, Topeka and Shawnee County are ready to welcome you. Apply now at choosetopeka.com.
All right, today we have the one, the only founder of Advisors Excel, owner of the Pennant, Taco, Iron Rail, Cyrus, and new owner of Westridge Mall.
Yeah.
Cody Foster. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Pretty cool what you guys have done. So
appreciate that.
And how many episodes now coming up?
This will be number 28, I believe.
Yeah.
You will be
1 year anniversary coming up.
1 year anniversary.
It's a big 1 year.
When this is released, we'll have officially celebrated our 1 year.
Nice.
Now we heard you were doing a podcast as well, so we really wanted to give you some, some audience so people could see kind of who you are, what you do.
We wanted to put you on the Topeka radar. That's what we were wanting to do. Let people know who you are.
Thank you. I don't know that I want that, but I appreciate it. So
well, man, we just are so grateful for everything you're doing, and then obviously carving out some time. So, man, could you just give us a little background? Like, you're kind of the AE Titan in Topeka. Like, how did you get into what you're doing?
Yeah, well, that's a weird title or description. I think it's such an interesting because I think Topeka. You probably hear this. I say a lot of times it's kind of like a big small town. So I think it's the weird thing about owning a business in Topeka that's grown and had the success is it does feel like that at times. Like anything we do becomes newsworthy, which is super weird.
That would be weird, yeah.
And I think specifically, I think Dave and I both would prefer nobody even knew who we were, and we could, stay in the background a little bit more. It's probably a little harder to do here than in other places for sure. So, but what was the question? How did it all start?
Are you from Topeka? You're from Topeka?
I'm not. So I grew up in a small town in western Kansas. Came to Washburn. True story. A gentleman from my hometown endowed a scholarship, and Washburn was free to come to Washburn. So it's what I could afford. So I came to Washburn.
That's awesome.
Didn't even look at another school. Just knew that Washburn was going to be free, and so I came to school here. Met Dave, so I'm partner at Advisors Excel. We're in the SIGEP fraternity here at Washburn. So met on our first day here, and kind of been here, ever since. I've been to Topeka for 30 years now. So August of 1995 came here. So home now, but it's not where I didn't grow up here, but
How far west?
Kind of have grown up here now.
How far out west are you from?
Stockton. So if you go to Hayes and then just straight north, about 35 minutes north of Hayes.
Nice.
So
you went to Washburn, but word on the street is you bleed purple.
I'm a pretty big K-State fan, yeah. So it didn't really grow up one, but my wife went to K-State, and then one of my best friends growing up played football there, and another guy I played against played Mark Semino, who everyone would know that name. So I grew up competing against Mark, since I was a little kid, and so they were roommates. Started going down to some games. Back when I went to Washburn, it looked a lot different than it looks today. So a lot of weekends would go up to K-State games, hang out with my friends that were there, and kind of became a K-State fan through that. And then our son's there right now. He's a junior at K-State and works for the football team. So just we've been pretty invested in their success, which is not, I say as K-State fans, you're kind of perpetually disappointed. Like, just think this is going to be the year, then something happens. So, it's
I describe
it's tough.
My grandpa, Greg Armbruster, big K-State guy. He describes people to me on whether or not they're K-State fans. And so he'll say, hey, John Smith, he's a good K-State guy. And I'm like, is he a good guy? Or is he a K-State guy happens to be a good guy? That's the one and the same. So, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Amazing. So what's K-State looking like this year for you?
I'm not sure. I don't know when you're releasing this, so it may depend. So went to Ireland, so that was a lot of fun. Actually went my brother and my son, and we took my dad, who's almost 77. So don't know how many more of those trips you get when they're getting up there. So it was kind of an awesome life memory for the four of us. So had a lot of fun, ton of K-State fans there.
Yeah.
Game didn't go so great, but it was an incredible experience.
Good
so
experience.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, do you want to give us the Advisors Excel background? When did you guys open up?
Yeah.
And maybe even give us the 60-second elevator pitch on what is Advisors Excel?
I think it's so funny. It's a hard thing to explain, but it's literally like maybe the easiest business ever. So like 60-second version is our client. I always say probably the easiest way to explain it is our client is the independent financial advisor across the country. So here in Topeka, Megan Jones, a lot of people know Megan, went to Washburn. Like Megan would work with us, Carl Carlson. Those are advisors that we support. Those advisors to access the product that they're going to use with their clients. So a lot of that's annuity business, but then investments also. They go through an organization like us to access those. So I'll give you another Topeka just kind of anchor security benefit. So we do a lot of business with security benefit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if you think about it, we sit in between security benefit and Megan. So she can't go directly to those companies. It would come through an organization like us. There's probably, 200 groups like us, in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So quite a few. And I think our value proposition is, instead of, I'll use Megan since I started there and people in Topeka probably know her. Instead of Megan having to know 40 different insurance companies and all their products, trying to figure out what's going to be the best one for her client, she can call our team. They're going to say, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Let us look through the products, find the best one for you.
Okay.
Do that on the investment side, too. That's a little newer business for us. We started that in 2016, AE Wealth Management. So that now manages, which is funny. I think there was an article about this and I think people thought we were worth $40 billion, but we just we manage $40 billion, but we manage it on behalf of our advisors, right? Helping them put portfolios together, ETF portfolios, stuff like that. At Schwab or Fidelity's, where most of that's custodian. So think of us really as like the back office for those independent financial advisors.
That's cool.
So we support about 600-ish offices across the country.
Wow.
And just really try and help them, build a better business. So
is the IMO part of the business? You guys provide like marketing services for them?
Yep, we do. So have kind of all that, right? Have an in-house ad agency that probably has a couple hundred employees. So I think I say it this way. I tell our team all the time, our clients are small business owners with all the challenges that you have in running a small business, as you probably know well. Their business just happens to be financial services, right? So I think everything we've tried to do at Advisors Excel is surround that small business owner with the services they need to really build a great business. So marketing's, probably it's probably the easiest one. I don't know if it's the biggest one, but if we can help them get in front of more people, that's going to do a lot of help there. But then I think so many things around operations and technology and in other areas of the business, just want to be able to support them. I think we always say we feel like as a advisor becomes a better business owner, they're just able to do such a better job, helping their clients prepare for, kind of navigate those retirement years.
Yeah. So I've learned when I have buddies that work at advisors, because there's so many different facets of the company. Yeah. I'll ask, so what do you do there? And then I don't even bother to ask, do you know so-and-so? Because like they probably may or may not.
It's like its own small town.
Yes. It's so big. It's like, maybe.
It's gotten there. So it's kind of wild. So real quick, I guess background. First job out of college was working at a firm, did the same thing. Was there for this was 2000 or late 99. Left there at the end of 03. Dave and I did to be advisors. We thought we were just going to go be a financial advisor. Set up shop here in Topeka. We were kind of over there. I mean, just a little off Wanamaker, had a little office. And then after a year of struggling, this goes back to what I was talking about, like, we realized really quickly we weren't financial advisors. We were small business owners. And like we knew like I would say the planning side of the business really well. It was every other aspect of running the business that was challenging. And I think through trying to just like figure that out, had this idea of like, man, if we could just go learn from other advisors that are really successful and just figure out what they were doing, we'd be a lot better. And kind of came up with the idea of Advisors Excel to started that in February of 2005.
Wow.
So brought on third partner, Derek Thompson joined us, and we started AE. Still were advisors for that year. Our company name was actually Foster and Callanan Financial Services. So very
Nice.
original, but did that for a year. AE kind of started taking off pretty quickly, and so we scrapped the financial advisory business and just went all in on AE, probably November of 2005, which in retrospect was, the right decision. So
you're coming up on 20 years then.
Just had it. Yeah, just celebrated our 20-year anniversary February 1st.
Come on, congratulations, man.
Yeah. So it's been a crazy 20 years. So
Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
Sometimes feels like forever, and sometimes it feels like it's flown by. So yeah.
So I've had to explain like 4 times, and I still don't fully understand. What is an annuity?
An annuity is a contract with an insurance company. I mean, it's probably the easiest way to think about it. So probably the easiest explanation I give people is like, what a CD is at a bank, right? You're giving your money to the bank. They're giving you a certain amount of interest back over a certain period of time. An annuity is like a CD with an insurance company instead of a bank. So if you give security benefit $500,000, buy an annuity, they're going to give you a certain interest rate, pay back over a certain period of time. Used a lot, I think, as people retire. Insurance companies are really good at managing risk, so a lot of them are used for income. So that would be a lot of what our advisors are using them for. Is like, as you retire, don't have a paycheck anymore, we're going to take that money, give it to an insurance company. They're going to guarantee, a certain check that comes to you monthly, yearly.
Sure.
So use them a lot to kind of guarantee income. They're a good source for that. So
that's awesome.
So think of it. It's literally like an investment with an insurance company, technically not an investment. An annuity contract with an insurance company would be like having a bank CD.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. So they're actually really basic and boring. It's funny because even as we were growing, you would hear people say this like, I think they're running this scam thing. And I'm like, actually, it's like the most boring, financial vehicle, maybe outside of money market or bank CD, it's like just pretty highly regulated and pretty boring. But I think for so many of our advisors, they're working with people that are transitioning into retirement. So it's all about how do we make sure this money's going to last, right? And insurance companies are really good at managing that.
I've always heard people who don't quite understand annuities or how it works. It's how does Advisors Excel make money? It's fugazi. It's just it kind of happens. You don't really know, but they're doing lots of things.
Yeah. Right. Well, but I mean, the easy answer is like the insurance companies pay us a small commission, and then on the investment side, where we help manage the assets for the advisors, we just make a small percent on that too. So it's
what's the like? How did you find the niche? Like, it seems like this niche obviously blew up.
Yeah, but it's not really a niche, if you think about it. Like the annuity industry is probably $60 trillion annually. If you look at we're in financial services, so it's really not a niche. It's just I don't think everyone necessarily understands all the distribution methods of all the products and stuff in there. So it's really not that niche-y. I mean, it may appear like it, but it's actually a massive industry.
So I have a question. I didn't realize this before we started talking. So it sounds like this, Advisors Excel, what you do, it was already in this niche, this business is already operating before you started AE.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like...
Yeah, been around forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that think they can't do something because they don't have a unique idea.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this wasn't a unique idea.
No,
you just
not at
went
all.
and you're doing it better than everyone else.
Yeah. In fact, I have... I see really younger people a lot, but I think anyone who thinks they want to be an entrepreneur and do it, I tell all of them, like the best advice I ever give people is like, whatever you think you want to do, go do it for someone else for a few years and learn, so that's what Dave and I both did, and Derek too. We all worked. The company was called Personalized Brokerage Services. Our office was at 8th and Clay. So it's where the bridge is at now, if you know where that's at. So that was, it used to be like an old hardware store or something. That's where we started. There were probably 15, 20 employees when I started there. But what I learned from doing that job is that I loved the industry, right? I loved helping these advisors, the relationships you build. and then just, I think over time, we thought like we could probably, we thought we could be really good financial advisors, and figured out that was a little tougher than we thought it was going to be. But then I think over time just figured out like, man, if I were going to do this, here's how I would do it a little differently. And so that's kind of what we did. So,
Wow. So what's it been like going from starting this business to now overseeing a company of like 1,000 employees?
I don't. It's such a hard question to answer, right? Because I say all the time, like I've lived it every day. So to me, it's just been. I think people on the outside see it as this like massive growth. It doesn't feel that way at all to me, right? It just feels like it's been this kind of slow,
like
steady,
very natural.
We talk a lot about the idea of compound interest in our industry, but a good friend of mine wrote a book called The Compound Effect. It's really what our business feels like. It's like it's just grown a little each year and keeps growing and keeps growing, and then wake up 20 years later and it looks a lot different than we ever envisioned, right? I think the question we get a lot is like, did you ever imagine it would look like this? And we didn't, you know, I mean, we tell this funny story of like when we started, we made a pact that we were never going to have more than 40 employees. I think it was like, we viewed the more people we have, the more headaches you have. And there's some truth in that. But the reality is what I've learned is like great people, empowered to do their job well, like are actually freeing. So in a lot of ways, my life today is probably easier than it's ever been, even though there's a complexity to the business, that's maybe more. And then the other thing that's just hard to explain for someone that hasn't been in there's definitely a weight or a responsibility that you carry. You probably see it kind of pastoring in church, right? I mean, there's a certain weight that you carry that's hard to explain to someone. But when 1,100 people are counting on you not to screw things up, right? And then 600 advisors who probably employ another, 8 to 10,000 people amongst all their offices that, have partnered with us or are counting on us to not screw things up. So I think you always have this kind of weight that you carry with it that's hard to describe completely. But overall, it's easier today in a lot of ways than it has been. So,
Gabe, actually, he gave me a good question that I'm going to give you credit for, but I'm going to ask you.
Let's go.
People get a ton of applause and support in the beginning of their venture. Yeah. And they get a ton of applause and support at the end. What advice would you give to business owners or entrepreneurs on how to get through the middle grounds when you're in the trenches?
Oh man, that's a good question. Hey, and here's something I've learned. You even see it a little, right? You'll also we have this weird thing in our I guess country, society, however you want to describe it, where we don't really like to applaud successful stories, right? I mean, so you're actually going to get, I think one of the things, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to either be able to tune out or not let like the hate that you will get affect you, right? Because you will have that, like, which is a weird thing, right? To hear people talk about you that you've never met and don't know you and don't know the business. But I think the easiest thing there is like, Lecrae has this great line. I've used it before, and he says, "If you live for people's acceptance, you'll die by their rejection."
Right.
And so I think maybe saying all that, like the best thing I say all the time is like, just focus on the things you need to do to grow the business, right? I think we say that all the time. Like, how are we adding value to our advisors? Like, we're constantly trying to figure out how do we add more value there. How do we build kind of a culture or a community where our people feel valued? That they show, I say all the time, we just want people to show up and enjoy coming to work. Yeah. We feel like if people show up happy and enjoy working there, they're probably going to do a better job taking care of our advisors. And we're in a service-based industry, right? So if they're doing a better job taking care of the advisors, like probably going to go pretty well. So I think it's like trying to block out everything else and just focusing on the things that matters probably the easiest part. So
it's like you kind of become a pinball, like based on people's approval, like you're not having focus like where you're going. It's like, well, they like this over here, so I'm gonna go that way. They reject me, I'm gonna go this way. You end up doing nothing. Yeah.
So you're telling me you don't live for the opinion of the Topeka Capital Journal?
It's such a fun, and people ask me that. They're like, do you see some of the comments people make? And I'm like, I kind of laugh at most of them. They're like, really? How do you do that? And I'm like, why would I care? I mean, most of the people who comment, I wouldn't ask their opinion on how to run my business anyway, right? I don't know them. I've never met them. I'm like, why am I going to care what they say or think? You know, they don't know anything about our business. I think, I said, I think a lot of times there's a few opinions that really matter to me, our advisors, right? So do they like working with us, our team, right? So, I want the people who show up to work every day with us, to love being there. And then, obviously I'd say, family, I always want to be loved and respected the most by the people that know me the most. Yeah. So outside of that, like, I don't really care.
Yeah, so good. I just recently was talking to my small group of guys. We meet on Wednesdays about having a board of directors for your life. Yeah. Because you mentioned, not everyone's opinion carries the same amount of weight. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And who are those 5 to 7 people in your life that, like, if they tell you to do something or they call something out in your life, you're listening. Yep. And if one or more of them call something out, it's like, I'm gonna take that very seriously. Yeah. And then I even thought about calling those people and letting them know, hey, you're on my board. You've been given full permission. Call it as you see it. Yeah. Because sometimes people don't feel like they can.
They have the leeway.
Yeah, they don't have the leeway to interject. So I actually had that conversation this spring with my 7 guys. It's like, hey, you're on my board.
Nice.
You need to call these things out if you see them.
That's awesome.
Now it's on me to listen when they do call things out.
What have they been calling out in you? That's what I want to know.
That's what I want to know too. Come on, that's a good question. Yeah. The interviewer becomes the interviewee.
My dad called out that I don't listen very well. Oh. And actually, I was telling him that he's on my board the same day he told me about this. And he said, Justin, it's been called out.
He pulled out a list as soon as you said.
He said it's been called out by your siblings.
Cool. Well, I've been holding on to some things.
If you're not interested in something, it's evidently apparent you're not listening. I was like, all right, we need to take that seriously.
That's so
and
good.
that feels like the airing of grievances in Seinfeld, right? It's like the Festivus airing of grievances.
But it's totally true. I mean, you take a step back. It's been a couple months since we've had that conversation, but it's like
he's not asking him anymore.
No, I am. But it's taking a couple steps back. I'm like, you know what? I could see how people could get that impression, whether or not it's true or not. I really don't care, or I'm not listening well. It's like if that's what people are thinking, it's reality.
Yeah. Well, and you said something that I think is really, really important though too. It's the people that know you and that you respect have said that to you, right? It's I think that's a big thing. I think I didn't know what all we were going to talk about, but I think it's really important for men right now. Man, I see so many men like kind of struggling in isolation, like being able to have a few people that know what's going on in your life that you can really lean into. I've got like Thursday, we were talking about, Thursday morning men's group that we spend a lot of time together. Dave, my partner at AE, we know each other really, really well. Met our first day of college 30 years ago, right? So I've known each other for 30 years and been good friends. So just having some of those people in your life that, aren't afraid to call that out. And I think you make a good point, like giving them that permission to do it too, right? So
what do you think is holding young guys back from that? Why do you think young guys are so isolated?
Man, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer to that question. So,
or just guys in general, not necessarily young guys.
I think it's just, I don't know. That's a good question. So
he does a lot of things. Doesn't answer that question.
Yeah. No, I was just curious.
I try not to talk about things I don't know anything about.
No, I
do think there's no doubt in my mind, like younger, my son's 20, junior in college. Like, I don't think social media and technology is great, right? I think it's limited.
It's not helping.
A lot of human connection. So I think that's part of it. I think guys don't necessarily always prioritize it, just trying to build community. I think that, like anything, whatever you prioritize is probably what happens. I don't know. Sure. We always do the best job of prioritizing. We're so busy doing other things, right? That sometimes takes a back seat. So cool.
Have there been certain decisions that you've made, or maybe even like practices, like regular things that you're doing that have helped you do that have really been really beneficial, of like including guys men in your life?
I think anything has to be, I'll say somewhat of a ritual, right? So I think a few Thursday morning kind of men's, I guess we'd call it a Bible study for lack of a better description, right? So it's just, we get together, we usually read a book, right? And get together each week and talk about what's going on in each other's lives. So there's 4 of us that have been doing that for a little over 4 years now. So just every Thursday morning, right?
That's
so
cool.
it's a ritual that and just over time you develop that. I know you had Matt Pavarnik on.
Yeah.
So Matt was a part of that group. So
Yeah.
he left
Hey,
us,
let's go.
ditched us. So we brought, but it's even interesting because we have someone new that joined us, but it's taking some time now because, we've got this 4 years of kind of history and meeting every day. So, kind of working them in. That's one. The second one that's been big for me for probably going on 12, 13 years now. I've had like a mastermind group with 11 other entrepreneur business owners that we get together twice a year for like 3 days and text every day. Just a group that now we've become really close friends. They've been, great advice givers along the way and just some really sharp. Dave Linegar, who founded Remax, is in the group, right? So Dave's been, even for me, someone who has a similar business to what we have, but 30-year head start on me just as our business is growing. Being able to bounce off some things from him, like, hey man, like how'd you handle this? Like,
wow,
here's the frustration I'm having. What'd you see in your business? So that's been. So going back to that, I think it's just a couple rituals, right? I have one group, we get together twice a year for a while. One group we get together every Thursday. That's probably the easy
What's
answer.
the mastermind group? The point of that is to sharpen each other business wise, like get ideas, things like that.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely how it started.
Okay. Yeah.
What's interesting now is it's become a little bit more like good friends getting together, right?
Yeah.
Just because we've gotten together so much through the years and try and do it around some sort of cool experience or something usually. And I'm going here and end of October, I think it is. I'm not sure. A friend just built a house in Rhode Island, so he's hosting us all up there. So we're going up there, and so, but we still do that, right? I mean, but sometimes it's more. We were just talking about this. It's less about learning more. It's more about just. I think as an entrepreneur, maybe more than anything, goes back to that kind of burden or weight that you carry. Sometimes it's just like getting around other entrepreneurs who are doing cool things and like recharging your batteries. Right. So I always leave there, whether I've learned something new for the business or not. I mean, I leave there like energized, right?
So good,
So it's a group that kind of gives each other energy a little bit too.
So good.
It's probably
like ready to go
it.
get back at it.
Exactly.
So good.
So switching gears maybe to Topeka.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like to brag on yourself, talk about everything you're doing, but we're going to make you do it.
Okay.
The Pennant, Iron Rail, Cyrus, Taco.
Yeah.
And then obviously the mall, which we'll talk about. Is there anything we're missing that you kind of got your hand in?
I mean, those would be the big ones. Obviously, I think we have some other real estate downtown that we've bought, but not that we operate. Those are which I like that much better. I like being the landlord versus the landlord, and the person who's leasing the space from the landlord,
keeping the business alive.
Yes, I mean, restaurants really they're just such a tough business.
Right.
I grew up in the restaurant industry back in Stockton. My grandparents owned a restaurant, and so I should probably know better. But it was one of those we felt like Topeka needed it and kind of built out a team that's been able to run those pretty well. But those would be, primary things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why restaurant? What brought you to do that?
Well, the long story short is we co-invested in a restaurant with a group in Lawrence. Actually, it was called R&D Corner Grill. It was on the corner of 8th and Mass.
Yeah.
And ended up having to take it over. It wasn't, just some management issues. Didn't really want to do that, but we'd invested in it. And then as we did that and kind of brought someone in to run it, decided like, hey, I didn't really want to be in Lawrence. The idea was we were going to come open one in Topeka after that. So kind of sent us down that path. And then I think second reason is like, we felt like, really specifically with the downtown redevelopment, that the thing that was missing was, restaurants. And still is. I mean, there's more down there.
Right.
We still need some more density to fill in there. But so as we kind of built that team out, just have taken them on. And they're a lot of work though. For not a lot of money, I mean, really last few years, it's been brutal. I say this a lot. Like if you, if you would be sad if a local restaurant went under, you should probably go eat there tonight because like there's a good chance they are hanging on by a thread right now. It's, cost of everything's gone through the roof and it's a tough business. So
we had,
true. Yeah.
Was it Don Highland?
Yeah.
Highland Don. He was one of our first couple episodes, he gave us a nice little perspective of AIM and what they're involved, what you guys are involved with. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
So let me put. I know they're all kind of like your babies.
Yeah.
But you have an evening, and you're going to go to an AIM restaurant.
Oh man,
what are you doing?
You're putting me on the spot here.
What are you going to recommend? Someone's got 3 to 4 hours on a date night. What's the order of operations?
Well, I think again it goes to what you're looking for, right? So, it's just like anniversary, special occasion. What you going out for?
Let's go 5-year anniversary.
Okay. I'd probably hit weather room. You know, like I feel like, steak, nice drink, something like that, dress up a little bit. So weather room, which, of all those, like owning the hotel through COVID, we opened the hotel a year before COVID hit. So that was a grind getting it. And it's finally back. We've got an awesome team there right now. So it's taking a while to build that back up. But now of all our things, like, the hotel and weather room probably doing the best right now. So the hotel's doing great. That's been a big addition downtown. Just when we went under the Marriott brand, that helped a ton too. When we started, we were just independent flag. Then we came under Marriott's brand, and that has helped.
Do you get a lot of people who like have Marriott points and things like that?
I'm going to be a little off on our number because I haven't looked at it recently, but I think 75% of the people that stay there are Bonvoy members. You know, so I mean, it's it drives it so much.
Wow.
I know nothing about the hotel business.
Yeah,
was that tough to decide? We're no longer going to be the independent boutique.
No, I wish I actually had a friend who owns the Ambassador Hotel in Kansas City, and they had started off independent and then went under Marriott. And he told me before we even opened, like, hey, if I were doing this, I'd go under Marriott, right?
Okay.
And we didn't listen, and we should have. So
we're going to be different.
And the only thing they bring, people thought we sold the hotel to Marriott. No, we still own it, right? Marriott doesn't own hardly anything, right? They just leverage their brand, but they just have such great. It's the Bonvoy, the points. You get the business travel wants to get their points, and then just their whole reservation, and I would say even their like financial systems. So, I mean, they have great systems to help us, like, hey, if we're getting close to full, they show you how to raise your rates, to, maximize your profitability and stuff.
They're a little bit like an AE for hotels.
They kind of are. Wow. I mean, that's a great way to think of it. The only difference is they do have a very public-facing brand.
Right.
That's the weird thing. Outside of Topeka, like, nobody really knows who AE even is, because we're like a behind the scenes, right? All our advisors have their own brand. It's not AE. So
right.
It's a little different. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Your logo is just in the upper right-hand corner of the paperwork I sign. I'm with Jones. Okay, but then you have to end the night going to the Pennant with a shake, right?
Yeah, shakes are great.
I mean,
shakes are fire. Yeah.
I like, it kind of depends on what you're in the mood for. I think, what you've seen us do with those, and I don't know if we'll do any more restaurant concepts, like, kind of got our hands full, but like, they're all different, and complementary, right? So, right now, tacos probably my favorite, right? Just because I'm a sucker for chips and salsa, chips and queso,
super unique
margaritas,
concept. Being able to go up, I've gone a couple times, and we were always seated up top.
Yeah, that third floor is
cool.
Pretty cool. So still got to figure out a few things with the vibe and that. Once you open those, it takes a while to completely get it figured out. So
how involved are you in
that?
Those?
Was my next question.
I'm not. At all. So just Seth runs all of that for me. He
runs all of the hotel and the restaurants.
You think anything AIM related, he's running. So he does the majority of that. Him and I meet every week for 90 minutes just to go through anything. But
so
that's
weekly
about the
you're getting an
equivalent.
overview.
And just anything we need to work on. Maybe a little more involved early. Conceptually, I like to create things. I don't necessarily love to manage things. So I'm usually involved a little early on as we're thinking through ideas or concepts. Like right now with the mall redevelopment, super involved in that, right? Trying to figure out that whole process. But then once it comes to managing it, if we can get it back to, maybe some of its former glory and get retail back in there, I'll probably be a lot more hands off, once that starts.
Well, that was my next question. You want to shift gears and talk about your newest baby?
Yeah, I guess.
Wait. No, I want to hop on that again. So you said you're more like the creative kind of, you like to start and envision something new.
Yeah.
is that kind of your role in AE? Like you kind of like pushing the boundaries on what's next?
Yes, to a degree. I mean, we have probably a lot of people who play a role in that to some degree now, but it's one of those things, in business. The other thing I do tell people when they ask me for advice, it can vary depending upon the business, but I think the greatest thing that we've had at AE is a partnership. So like right now, Dave and I being equal partners, just having someone who can share that responsibility and burden with you is great. Someone that you trust and can bounce stuff off of. But what we didn't know at the time, right, got kind of lucky and fluked into this. I would say our strengths complement each other very, very well, right?
Awesome.
I'm probably a little bit more of like the idea guy, and I can see and articulate it and like paint a vision of where we need to go.
Right.
Dave's really good at like putting all the building blocks in place and managing that and doing it. So I say all the time, like Dave comes in every day with a checklist of 12 things and doesn't leave till everything's checked off. And once in a while I make a checklist, so it's, usually I kind of make a list of, 3 most important things I got for the week is about the extent of my checklist. So,
can I ask you one more question about that?
Go for it. Go for it.
So what do you love most and hate most about what you do?
Are you talking specifically at AE?
Sure.
I would say the answer could actually probably be somewhat the same, candidly. What I would say without question is the love aspect is probably the relationship and impact that you get to see. Like I was telling you, we're going on this birthday party for friend's 50th, but it's like with 3 of our advisors, none of them from here, right?
Cool.
But like we go on trips with them all the time. They become really close friends, and just seeing them be able to grow their business and how it changes, and then honestly, just the impact on people here that come to work at AE. That's probably the thing I love, seeing the most. I think the other thing are events. Like we do a lot of events. I love that because it's that creative thing, right? I'm still pretty involved in our bigger events. Like who are we bringing in as speakers, themes, stuff like that. So love those aspects of it. I don't know. The hate side, I don't know that there's a big...
or like least life-giving or something.
I mean... it's what's interesting for an entrepreneur is it gets bigger. It just becomes a little more bureaucratic, and some that you have to. I mean, we're in a highly regulated industry, right? So there's just a lot of things that you have to put in place. That regulatory environment is weird, right? Just because it can constantly change. Regulated by the SEC, by FINRA, by state insurance departments. So we have all these different regulatory bodies, and you would think the regulatory world is a black and white world, but it's really not. There's like shades of gray in there. So just trying to figure out how to do that in a way and navigate all of that, that's not life-giving to me at all. So
you don't wake up in the morning like, where's the where's the report on what the laws currently are?
Fortunately, we've got great team and great people that specialize in that. But
I was gonna say, I imagine as you guys have gotten bigger, the things that are frustrating, you go and hire someone who enjoys those things.
Yep. It's really good and experienced at them, right? Yeah. So, our chief compliance officer, general counsel, all them, they're really good at it. So,
the first person you're thanking God for every morning.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, for this legal expert.
Well, usually my wife first, and then
then the legal experts.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to transition to the reason why people are listening to this episode.
Okay.
Thinking about a move? Choose Topeka, and you can get up to $15,000 to relocate.
Topeka and Shawnee County are ready to welcome you. Apply now at choosetopeka.com. Now, back to the show. Your newest baby, Westridge Mall.
Yeah.
How exciting is that? How long has that been in the works for?
It's kind of an ugly baby, though. It's the only downside.
Maybe right now, but...
It's a baby stuck in the 80s.
Yeah. In so many ways that you don't even have any idea, right? Just like... all these restriction agreements that are signed that restrict what you can do. Were put together in the 80s thinking malls were going to last forever, you know, and they don't. And now you have to navigate and kind of work through those.
Are you able to rework any of those?
Yes. We're working through some of that now.
Gotcha.
So, legal counsel.
Legal counsel.
Well, by now it'll be news by the time this airs. We purchased the Sears building, so we didn't own Furniture Mall, JCPenney's, Dillard's, or Sears. Those were all standalone. Sears was owned by this private equity company, and they were not they were not being easy to deal with is probably the easiest way to say it. So finally got that purchased, which will now free up all of us to Dillard's and Furniture Mall have been great. Pennies, we ended up buying that, you know, through this process. We're trying to, we had talked to them early on. They were talking about downsizing, you know, it's a massive building, 160,000 square feet. And so we kind of went through that process. They came back and said, well, this probably looks more like a store we should just close down. So, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. So now it's kind of open, and, you know, we'll try and it's a great space for us to bring in some sort of anchor tenant there, right? Everyone wants to be Wanamaker facing. You want to be visible from Wanamaker. So that Penny's building, it's kind of like hopefully going to be the anchor of what we try and redevelop some of that. So, but then even things like the heating and air system, like, I mean, it's all connected through that whole mall. So now as we try and redevelop this, it's going to be a massive project. It's just, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited about it, but it's
it's not like that requires some faith on it. Like, I think I am excited.
The other it's teaching me patience, right? Because I mean, just even working through these agreements, but then like I don't think this is the thing people fully realize, because people are like, I thought they're going to bring all these stores back. Well, it's not like retail stores are just thriving right now anyway, right? I mean, even you look, since we bought it, Kirkland's is closing down a ton of stores. American Eagle shut down 200 stores. Claire's announced bankruptcy. Now they got bought, so I don't know if this is breaking news, but they're staying in West Ridge. They're not going under.
Come on,
I love Claire.
The one I was hoping for.
Been there. So you look at those. Even look at what those anchors used to be: a Macy's, a Sears, Penny's. You know, so retail's a tough business anyway. Retail doesn't necessarily move fast, right? So, and I mean, I'll say this: I don't know that there's probably a bigger Topeka cheerleader than me, but Topeka's just a weird sized town. You know, so many of these retailers we've talked to, they immediately tell us we don't go in communities under 250,000. We're like, but let us explain why this is going to be a good opportunity. They're like, doesn't fit what we do, right? So, and part of that too, we now have all the plans done, right? So now it's like we can show people the final project, which I think will help. And that's like, as of now, like I think we'll announce it this week or next, kind of the final plans and release them. But people think too, like, I mean, we've been working on those for a year with the architects. You know, it's 1.4 million square feet we're trying to redesign. Wow. So it's that's wild, but it's slow, right? So I mean, it just takes a long time. But we're now, I think, moving into that phase where hopefully we start to see some things start to happen. People start to see some construction things taking place, or little demo going on now. But I'm excited about it. But it's
I am excited.
It's a big project.
Are there any anchor tenants, key tenants, big names that you can say, hey, we are getting these? There's all sorts of rumors on what's coming to Topeka.
No. I mean, the reality is I don't know we'll get anybody. You know, I mean, here's what I've told everyone. I'm super confident in, like, our office space, and what we're doing is going to be super cool. Our team will love it. It's bringing 1,200-ish employees full-time to that campus every day, which I think is good for the retail. I'm super confident in what we're doing to the mall, the redesign. We're going to have these 3 kind of key entry points. One's going to be more of like a teen entry. One's going to be more of a family. Then one's going to be this like community entry space. And some of the things we're doing to the interior. This isn't, and this is why I think it's taking a long time. We're not putting like lipstick on a pig. Like, I mean, it's a total redevelopment of this thing, right? And so I'm confident in what we're doing to the mall. The only thing I'm not confident is if we're going to be able to get great retail back in there or not. You know, Topeka's a smaller community, so it makes it tougher out of the gate. And then it's not like malls and retail are thriving. So that'll be our hardest challenge, I think, in it. So we're definitely taking the Field of Dreams approach of if you build it, they will come. You know, we've had good conversations with some grocery stores, Sprouts. We've talked to Trader Joe's, but Trader Joe's is kind of one of those that tells us 250 is their number, you know. So, but now as we get everything done, I think now we can show people a little more final project and hopefully make some progress. But that'll be really now, I think the phase we move into is getting aggressive on trying to get, a couple anchors, and then, start to fill in some of that. But man, realistically, assume everything goes great and people love it, and retail starts flocking back there, and that, I mean, we're probably 2 to 3 years away from that being a completed project minimum, from today.
You think it's 2 to 3 years before construction is done too?
I know that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. And so I think, but as that's going on, like we can be constructing some of those spaces too.
Yeah.
So
Right,
it'll be about a 2-year time period from today, that I think most of the construction will be done.
And your whole offices are your entire
we're going to
company?
move everyone there.
Cool.
Part of that, we had looked, you asked about the origin. Before we bought Gage Center and redeveloped that, we'd actually looked at that Burlington space on the backside and almost bought it. We just couldn't get comfortable with who owned the mall. And just, you look at what happened with White Lakes. And I know the guys at Mainline, they redeveloped that building and then the whole thing falls apart around them.
Right.
So we just didn't really want to do that. And so we ended up buying Gage and redeveloping that. And so, but I'd always kind of it'd been in the back of my mind a little bit. And then, I guess I convinced Dave, like, maybe we should just buy it, I think if you look at anything we've done here, I think it's funny. People think we're investing in Topeka because we make a lot of money, and it's the worst investment. I don't mean that in a negative way, but like our restaurants don't make a lot of money.
Right.
I do a lot better in my stock portfolio than I do in those. But we live here, right? And it's the community we live in. And I always say, like, if you have the means to try and improve your community, I don't know why you wouldn't. So I think we see these as half investment, but almost like half community investment there. And if you look at it, man, that mall should be like the largest sales tax revenue generating resource in this community, and it's not, right now. Right. So when you just think about, what that would mean if it's full and people are there and shopping, that's a big thing for the city, right? Not just for us. I mean, like, it's big for the city. It generates a ton of sales tax, ton of revenue for the city, that goes to repair roads and, infrastructure and stuff like that.
Potholes, come on. Well, it doesn't seem, I don't see a reason why, at least on paper, it couldn't be full. I mean, look at Wanamaker around the mall. Yeah. It's surrounded by little stores. Everywhere. There's little strip malls full of stores.
I think we got a chance, right? It's just, people shop a little different than they used to. Sure. It's going to be up to us, I think, to get the right mix of things in there. We want to get a couple restaurants, maybe some sort of entertainment concept in there, that brings people out. I think even the way we redesign it a little, I think it will become more of a I don't know if community attraction, like we'll program it more. We're even doing that now, just in the short term, trying to keep traffic, is programming it more. So,
I've seen the renderings. They look sick.
Yeah.
That's super
It's going to be cool. So
I wonder if in the wake of kind of, COVID kind of reset time for a lot of us, and then social media too, as we're all kind of in the social media hangover, trying to figure out what does community really look like. Yeah. I wonder if something like a mall has a lot of future potential to be like a community anchor point of like, instead of just like, hey, I need to go to this specific store. It's like, hey, let's just go walk around the mall as a family. Yeah. Like, let's just go hang out and see who we see, you know?
And I think you'll see in the way we redevelop it, like, that's being done, right? To give some like spaces for people to gather and hang out. And I think from how we program it, now ideally the only way it makes money is if we have people renting space in there too, right? So we got to get some of that back in there. And it's funny. I'll read something. We were talking about comments, social media, some of that. And I read one about how it said something like, oh, they're just getting filthy rich off this mall. And I'm like, literally, I swear to God, that morning I had told Dave, man, I don't know if this was a good idea.
It's going to bankrupt us.
Well, we got legitimately the HVAC bid's $8 million, right? To replace the HVAC system, right? And so I'm like, wild. It's just that I don't think people understand quite. The mall doesn't look bad necessarily, right? Sure. They've put some flooring down, some stuff like that, but the infrastructure's bad, right? The plumbing, the HVAC, those types of things that are just big ticket items are bad. And we're trying to do it one time and do it well. And so, it's just, but it was just funny because someone thought we were making a lot of money in the mall. And I told Dave that morning, like, this may have been a bad idea.
I mean, where'd you get your $40 billion from? From the mall.
Well, that was part of it too. People are like, because we did the industrial revenue bonds, which if you look about every big project in Topeka, the new apartments going on in downtown, Cyrus, we did industrial revenue bonds, right? All they really do is help you avoid paying sales tax on the raw materials, right? So they're designed to encourage development, but people think like the county gave us $48 million. I'm like, no, that's on us, right? The bank's going to buy those, and then we have to pay the bank that money back. So, but people don't. They read a headline, and they don't do much research into
read,
it. So
Topeka Capital Journal's headline, and then you click on the link, and it doesn't let you read the whole article. So,
Exactly.
I had an interesting conversation with David. I don't know David. He doesn't know me, but he was working out with a buddy of mine at the gym, and so I went up and introduced myself. And I told him, I said, hey, if you want to redo our office the same time you're redoing the mall, let me know, yada yada. And I was just asking him, very much like, how's it going?
Yeah.
Is it, you excited? Is it going to go well? When's it supposed to be done or whatever? Very generic. And he gave a really, I don't even want to say it was cocky. It was like confident, and it was actually inspiring because at the time I was reading Grit by Angela Duckworth, which the premise of that book is consistency beats talent. If you're consistent in something, it's going to do well. And his answer, is the mall going to be successful? He said, well, Advisors Excel isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
He goes, we're going to be here for a long time, and we're going to keep trying. He goes, it will be successful eventually.
Come on.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, how he said it, but it was really like, I love that. Like, is it going to be successful today? I don't know.
Yeah,
is it going to be successful in 3 years when it launches? I don't know. But you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
you'll pivot, you'll make changes. It will work.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when and how.
Yeah, I think, and I said this earlier, I think what it is teaching me is patience, because that's definitely, I know it's a virtue. It's just not one I have. But I mean, this has taught me to be a lot more patient, right? Like, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Even like I said, like, if everything went best case scenario, we're 2 to 3 years away from it being a vibrant mall again, so it's, but I think that's a great answer. Like, we're not going to give up on it, right? We're going to do it right. I think if you look at pretty much anything we've done, we've tried to build it right? Or redevelop it right. And I think everything we've done from, the old furniture store that's our headquarters to Gage, like, we would prefer to like go reinvest in an area that's already here in Topeka, and bring it back to its potential versus build something new. So we'll get it there. It's just it's going to take a while.
Well, it was an inspiring answer even for my business. Like, if I don't give up, if I'm just consistent, make changes, don't do anything, don't hammer the same idea, it's not working, but make changes, pivots, stay consistent. It's going to work.
It's I know I mentioned the book, The Compound Effect, earlier, and Darren Hardy's, and he's part of that mastermind group I'm in, and the whole premise is like small things done consistently well over time compounds, And I think I said it kind of how I feel AE is, right? It's just like, I've been living it every day for 20 plus years now. So it's just, I've seen the work everyone does every day to kind of get it to where it is today.
So good.
So it's kind of what we'll have to do with them all, right? It's going to be a process, but I feel good about it, right? I
am excited.
Yeah. Retail's just a tough thing. And I think, what will help, we just have to get a domino or two to fall. Because even some of the nationals we're talking to, they're like, sounds interesting, kind of intriguing. We haven't really seen something like this before. It was actually someone at Whole Foods said this. They're like, wait, so you're the developer, but it's also your headquarters that you're moving in. I said, yeah. He's like, never seen that in any of these projects, right? So I think to Dave's point, it gives them some confidence, like this built-in kind of shopping source
you believe in
here.
It, so why?
And they're not going anywhere. So, but everyone we talk to is like, so who else is coming? And it's like, well, we're talking to a bunch of others. And they're like, well, call us back when the first one says yes. So
exactly.
I think if we can get a domino or two to fall, that should help. So.
Can I ask you, and then I want to honor your time, so we'll get you out here in a sec. But I was just curious.
Some time, so
let's just keep it rolling.
Another
hour.
Just
keep it going, Gabe.
I got to be to Circle Coffee at 4:45.
Perfect. I was just curious. You said if you have the opportunity to develop your own community or invest in your own community, why wouldn't you? I think it's interesting. Because, I mean, obviously a lot of us feel the same way, but obviously not everyone in Topeka feels that way.
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing this podcast, and you're doing a lot of things. There's a lot of, we could diagnose, but not everyone feels that way, and not everyone leans into, hey, this is my community, I'm going to invest in that. Where did that come from? Like, how did you get to have that mindset where you got in here like, well, of course I'm going to do this.
Especially you're not from here.
Yeah. 30 years here now. Yeah. It's kind of like I'm from here. And
like, is it something about the way you grew up, or is it like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it may be. I don't know if I've ever thought about it that much, actually. And I always want to say this or preface it by saying, like, that's not a unique issue to Topeka, right? I travel a lot for work, travel all over the place. I mean, there's not a community you can go into that there's not going to be naysayers about the community, right? Or people that, which blows my mind. I don't know why you stay there if you hate the community that much. It's always a weird thing, but I know it's not.
That's what
always
almost every guest says.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not easy to up and move. I get it too, but I also don't know like why you would complain about it versus try and figure out how to contribute to it, right? Yeah. So there's a whole contributor versus consumer conversation you could have around community probably. I was sitting there pondering that. So my mom grew up in California. My dad grew up in North Carolina. He met her when he was in the Navy station in San Diego.
Oh, cool.
But I have no family in Kansas except for in the mid 70s, my grandparents on my mom's side traded some land in Southern California for this ranch outside of Stockton and moved there. Ended up buying 3. So like they were, especially my grandpa, entrepreneurs, like not successful ones necessarily, but owned a cafe, a pizza place, and a pool hall in town. Wow. My dad worked for the city. My mom worked at the church. Growing up in a small town, I think there was just a sense of community and pride. I've never actually really thought about that you saw and kind of experienced. I think I saw it in the restaurants, I saw it in the pool hall, however you want to think about it, right? There was just this community that you would see there. So I think that's some of it. If there were maybe 2 like defining moments that I can think of as I think back on this, one, I remember having a conversation with Brent Bowles, who's probably kind of my closest friend here in Topeka, and he's about 10 years ahead of me in life, right? So just married 10 years longer, his kids are 10 years older. He's maybe more than 10 years older if he listens to this. But I remember saying both of his daughters had just graduated college or were out. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, if they're going to live here or not. I just, not sure if they see the opportunity. I think one was living in Kansas City at the time. And, my kids were probably middle schoolish at that time. And I'm like, man, I want to make sure my kids see Topeka as a place that there is opportunity, right? Yeah. And not that... And awesome news, like both of Brent's daughters now live back in Topeka, right? They're married and are back here, and I think are doing well and see a ton of opportunity. So I think that was one. And then I remember we were interviewing, I don't even remember what role, but it was something that we were definitely recruiting external, right? So people from outside of Topeka, even really kind of outside of the state. And we missed, like, several candidates just didn't want to relocate. And Matt Byer, leads our HR, said something to me. He goes, Cody, I've worked at some other places. He's like, AE is like a destination employer. Like everyone wants to come work here. They're in love with the idea of this job and working for AE. They're just not in love with living in Topeka. And so I think if there's a selfish motivation behind it, I would love my kids to live close to me, as they get older and grow up. I think that's part of it. And then I think, from the AE side, we're always trying to recruit and retain great talent. So, and I think Topeka is better than some people give it credit for, right? I think we have some assets. I don't know that we've always leveraged those assets as well as we could, right? And I'm also not one to say, like, it's why we opened 4 restaurants. Like, we didn't have the restaurants we need. We still don't. Like, I think there can still be some development there. So it's not that I look at it and say everything's perfect, right? But it's there's some assets here that we could really take advantage of. And I think you've seen, so much positive momentum in the last decade even, and I know Matt left us, but like credit to him. I think a lot of that started, when he came here, and just sometimes it takes someone coming in and seeing what's possible for a community and then kind of inspiring and bringing people, around that. So
here's a question. Not everybody in Topeka has the ability or the means to make an impact like you.
Sure.
Or even, I can't even believe I'm comparing our podcast to what Cody Foster is doing, or has a podcast where they can be vocal about our community, try and make a positive change. What is something that everybody can do to make a positive impact on their community and try and move Topeka forward?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's one specific thing, right? I think the more interesting thing there is like, what is one thing that you can do, right? Like, basic, like we were talking about this, I think that maybe we said it on the panel. I don't remember if it's before we started or after, but like, I mean, if there's a local restaurant that you really like they're probably hanging by a thread. Go support them. Like, go some of those things. I know it's kind of cliche, but like shopping local does matter, right? That's revenue that stays in this community. I think those things are important. Basic things like mow your yard. Like, you can take pride in what you have, too. Like, don't know why that one hit me.
Little Jordan Peterson, make your bed.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully my wife doesn't see this.
I do think there are some things like that. Just like figure out what is the one thing that you can do, and try and be a contributor to what's going on. But I do think supporting things locally is important because that's a tough. Any of those businesses, that's a tough thing. I think voting in elections, like making sure we have good elected leaders is really, really important. So that's there's something
I think those are all great answers.
Right? Everyone
Take
could
pride
go,
in what you have.
Everyone could go vote, in the elections and make sure we have, good elected leaders. And those are a couple ideas. So
love it.
So lots of things.
Yeah. It's so good. Man, appreciate this so much. This is so good.
Awesome. I have maybe one more advisor's question, and then maybe we can switch to rapid fire.
Yeah, I was just saying, I have too many questions.
I know.
Have to save for part 2 another time or something.
True or false? I had heard, I don't know who from.
This could be interesting.
Be
well, I've heard we're a cult.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I heard that one, and that we're laundering money through Mission Church or something like that. So yeah.
Well, Will Guidara says about cults, right? Will Guidara.
How's he say it? Because we had him
forget
speak.
Exactly how he says it. But he said it's basically if people call you a cult, means you're doing something good.
Yeah,
that's
like
in some ways.
Community of raving fans, basically.
It's like you have language, that people buy into. Yeah.
Here's my question. Advisors has gotten to the point, you guys have gotten big enough. I have heard you guys are hiring a lot. I have heard, and maybe you have some insight into this, there are some people that are just talented people in Topeka that you're like, I'm going to hire that person. I don't know what they're going to do at our company, but we're going to figure it out because I don't want them working somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, somewhat. Now, here's what I'll say. We're not really in the business of hiring someone we don't have a job or role for, right? I think one of the things we always say is we want people to show up and work really hard from 8 to 5, but we want them to get out of there too, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't say we make a habit of hiring people we don't need.
Sure.
Maybe a different way.
You're an interesting person. Let's hire you.
I think maybe a different way of saying that is like, if there's a talented person that we think we can hire that can add value, I'll give you a really great example. I don't know if you guys know Rodney Kenner at all. So Rodney had been a buddy of mine, was working at Mize, was talking about going out and doing this coaching. We'd been talking about launching this like scaling up coaching program for our advisors. So I told him, I'm like, why don't you come run that for us, right? And so that would be an example. Like, I don't know that we're going to hire them without a role, but if we have or find someone talented and we think we can add value to our advisors by bringing that person on board, that would probably be a better way to describe what we do. So
Jeremy Wynn is one of my mentors. He's actually on my board. So that's great.
Great example. Like Jeremy was coaching. We had one of our best advisors was in right now. Like as I left the office to come over here, Jeremy was doing a scaling up 2-day, retreat with him in the office. So
Wow.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
Any questions before we switch over to rapid?
Yeah, I mean, this has been really fascinating. So I would love to go another hour, but to honor your time, we have a few rapid fire questions we do with everybody. So it sounds. I mean, you play ball pretty well.
These, but I should have probably listened.
No,
to
so
more
just the first thing that comes in your head, and I appreciate that. Like even when he asked you to pick one of your favorite restaurant children. You went there. A lot of people will like deflect, like I'm not allowed to have an opinion. You're like, dude, come on, you're a human being. So we'll let you say what you want to say, but we're just gonna ask a few rapid fire about life in Topeka.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
Well, it's I have 4
non-aim.
Oh, you got to throw that out before.
No, it's too much of a softball if we let you pick.
How many qualifications? Can we say local non-aim restaurants?
I always tell my kids, I'm like, where do you want to eat tonight? You have 4 choices. You know?
Exactly.
The money's staying in house.
Yeah, favorite restaurant. Wow, that's. So I would tell you, I love what Adam's doing at White Linen. And the Knox. I love what Adam does. I think just brings something super unique. So that's a great one. But if I were to tell you, like the one we eat at the most would probably be El Ranchito.
Come on.
So
on Fairlawn.
That one a lot, or Auburn. We bounce back and forth between those two, right? We're kind of like right in between the two of them. So that would probably be my go-to. So again, chips and salsa, and
can't beat it.
Yeah, Chile, Colorado. So
good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Favorite local coffee shop.
Oh man, I'm not. I have a machine in my house, and I just drink it there every day.
That's fair enough answer.
So yeah, I'm a Blue Jazz coffee guy.
Okay.
So Kevin's a buddy. I would say though, probably the one I go to the most is the PT's there in 29th, just because it's right by our office. So I meet people there quite a bit. So that's probably the one I visit the most.
Yeah,
so.
love it. This is another
that was a good non-political way of not throwing a favorite.
Exactly. This is another kind of ask you to pick a favorite child question, but you're going on a date. What is like an average date night in Topeka? What are you doing?
Oh, I guess probably just going to dinner, realistically, maybe going to dinner with friends, something like that. Probably going to Weather Room, or Pennant or Iron Rail or Taco. One of those 4.
One of 4.
Now, which 4 are the AIM restaurants again?
I would say, my wife and I love live music, I mean, so we try and make a point to get out to concerts. So, if something's going on at TPAC, we're probably going to try and go there. I've tried to do a few concerts there. Been down to some of the stuff at Evergy Plaza, which is super cool.
Do you ever selfishly try to recruit artists to come to Topeka that really you just want to see?
Oh, yeah. I was working on one with TPAC, but we couldn't make it happen. So thought we had Need to Breathe lined up for a concert there.
Okay, dang.
Let's go. It didn't happen. Dates didn't work out. So,
this is not a rapid fire, but best concert you've ever been to?
Man, there's some good ones. Probably, this was probably 7-8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago now. For a friend's 40th birthday, we went to Chicago, and Pearl Jam played at Wrigley Field.
Ooh,
and it was like, I don't know if it was the first time they'd ever played there, but Eddie Vedder grew up in Chicago.
Wow.
And basically came out at the beginning of the night and said, we're playing tonight till the cops come and kick us out.
Wow.
And he played for 4.5 hours.
Wow.
That's crazy. So did like cool covers that were like big songs to him growing up.
Cool.
And then honestly, one of the other best concerts I've ever been to, there are probably a few Topeka people that remember this one, but Beck and the Roots played at TPAC about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
That was an awesome concert too. So they did this version. Roots came out with Beck and did Where It's At for like 13 minutes, We're just jamming. Yeah. That was a cool concert. So,
was that like around the time he won a Grammy? He had like an album of the year
probably,
or something?
Yeah.
That's fire.
Okay.
That's awesome.
You're doing a home project. Are you going to Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's?
I'm the least handy person in the world, but my brother's a contractor. So what I'm really probably doing is calling my brother.
Okay. Where's he going?
Yeah. And
Where's he going?
What do you need me to go pick up?
Yeah.
So, realistically, I met John Menard one time at an event. So like awesome entrepreneur story. So that's probably where
that sounds like a Menard's answer.
Yeah, I shop at Menard's probably the most, and it's kind of the first one on my route. So
absolutely,
it's like,
it just makes sense.
Yeah,
it's
if I can drive there, I do it.
Man.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Jim Home Depot before?
I haven't, but I'm a Home Depot fan too. Yeah, so it would be those two, and then Lowe's would be last.
All right.
So
that's we're both winners.
I like Home. I actually like from a culture and what Home Depot's done. Awesome story. And then I know a little bit more about them. Greg Brenneman, who's the Washburn alums, actually, I don't know if he's the current chairman of their board, but has been on the Home Depot board. So he's shared some of the things they do, just culture wise. It's a pretty incredible organization what they built.
Yeah.
So
their theme song like blew up the internet.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
What else do we have? Then I have a podcast question for him.
How many potholes did you hit on the way here?
None.
Okay. Boom.
Yeah.
Skilled driver.
That's right, buddy. You learn how to avoid them. You know, it's like, yeah, I don't know. That'll get the comments going. Though. Nothing gets the comments going like potholes.
We need to get that sales tax coming from Westridge, and then we can fix.
How come they don't use their $40 billion to fix our potholes?
It is. I mean, all joking aside, it's a real problem, right? I mean, we have old infrastructure in Topeka. I mean, but that's again one of those like. And generally speaking, though, you go to any place and roads aren't great, right?
Especially in the Midwest.
It's a hard thing to maintain. You get the heat, then you get the cold, the ice. I mean, that's just a lot to try and navigate. So
cool.
But there's some bad potholes. So, I mean,
Well,
that's amazing.
Is that it for rapid fire?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. One final question, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 questions. You have a podcast.
Yeah.
Business of Advice podcast. You interview all sorts of thought leaders, entrepreneurs across the United world.
Yeah.
Maybe. So you've been doing this longer than we have.
Okay.
What is one thing that what's a piece of advice you would give us as podcast hosts and owners, what we do, maybe generically?
Yeah.
And then also, what would you give, the piece of advice would you give to us as co-hosts of Topeka Insider?
I feel like you're kind of doing some of it already. So like this probably would have been better advice like when you first started, right? But I remember Rory Vaden, who's a good friend of mine, and honestly, it's kind of the guy behind a lot of like the big podcasts and stuff that you'll see out there. He asked me a really important question. He's like, who's your audience? Like, who do you want listening to your podcast? And he's like, everything you should do around it should be built towards that audience. And the answer I gave him at the time was like, and it's still true to this day, is like, the only people I care to listen to the podcast is our advisors, right? For me, it's a way, for me as the organization has got bigger and maybe I don't have the same one-on-one time that I used to have with some of them. It's like a way for me to communicate to them consistently. And the only reason I say that, even if you listen to my podcast, what you'll hear me say and do a lot in there is like reinforce all the things that we're always talking to our advisors about, right? Like how important we think live events and come together and learning from each other are, stuff like that. So I think really understanding like, you know, who it is, and I have a pretty good understanding of that with what you all are doing, but then like just making sure that all of your messaging, the interviews, everything is designed around that, right?
Wow.
So I think that was like great advice he gave me that I would give people. I feel like you've got that fairly dialed in though, you know? Yeah. So it's like, but I mean, thinking about that too, of like, you know, just making sure that everyone you bring on is like super focused on like, hey, what's going on in Topeka? And maybe the only other things like, what is it that you hope people take from the podcast too, right? And, you know, I think what I've heard from listening to it is like you are trying to kind of paint a picture of the great things that are happening in Topeka and, you know, people that are trying to make those things happen, which I think is just a good reminder. You know, we talked about some of the naysayers in that, but there's more than at any point in time, the 30 years that I've lived in Topeka, like there are people really trying to push this community forward, right? Doesn't mean we don't still have our fair share of challenges that we're going to have to navigate through, but just, and I think a lot of, you know, even looking at who we've had, like a lot of good young leaders too, you know, that are coming up really trying to do some cool things. I mean, even this like is a great example of, you know, something that's just different, really painting Topeka in, you know, a positive light, I guess you would say. So, but it's funny watching just like how many people you've had on the podcast, you know, a lot of friends, but just like people that I've gotten to know through just work that they're doing in Topeka too. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Cool.
Thank you,
well, Cody, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for doing it too.
This has been so great. Awesome.
Absolutely.